Welcome back. Today we're joined by one of Namibia's most dynamic poetic voices, frankly speaking. Known for blending powerful social commentary with deeply personal narratives, frankly speaking has become a leading figure in the country's literary and spoken word scene. And as a key figure in the upcoming Interactive Poetry Masterclass, he's not only performing, but mentoring the next generation of poets through guidance in writing, publishing, branding, and marketing poetry. We're excited to have him delve into the vision behind this masterclass. Franklin, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nina. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good.
Well, to start
Exercising poetry.
As always, yes. To start with, Franklin, what inspired you to take poetry from, a personal expression to a professional career?
I think for me, I had the privilege of having some very amazing language teachers, whether it was the Afrikaans that I had or the English or the French classes that I had. And I realized at a very young age that history remains to be preserved by virtue of those that have the capacity to document it. And so I then figured, why is it, that we know a lot about international authors, we know a lot about the Maya Angelos, we know a lot about the Viktor Frankls, we know a lot about the Carl Jung, but we don't know very much about our very own poets and our very own people. So I thought it has to be the responsibility of the Namibian child and the Namibian, in essence, to be able to document that story. And one of the ways, one of the conduits to be able to do that effectively is through the format of poetry. I think that was really the initial point of inspiration.
Now, this upcoming masterclass, Franklin, focuses on marketing, publishing, and branding. Why do you think these elements are often overlooked by poets, and how do they impact a poet's longevity?
I do think so. There's not a problem with ideas, because I think a lot of people have great ideas, but a lot of people also do not have the acumen to translate ideas into something a bit more sustainable, a bit more financial. And the idea was to say, if you have the ability to write anyway, you've got the ability to tell a story, you've got the ability to write, why don't we create a brand around it? Why don't we package it and sell the world a Namibian story? So part of the masterclass was to be able to teach people how to read, to think, and to write. These are very pivotal elements in the craft. And so we thought, okay, right. So we have rather a large number of poets, because we see these poets come out, especially through what we call open mics. Now, open mics is what you call your amateur sort of formats, right? So this is where everybody can just come and read a piece. And I think over the past 5 years, we have noticed that there clearly is there's an amalgamation of great Namibian stories. There clearly is there's a plethora of a lot of Namibian poets, but they do not necessarily have the sellability. And so we thought, okay, those of us who have had the privilege to be taught also, because I am not a product of myself, I am a product of people that have taught me, the likes of Harry MC, the likes of the Ashwin Berries. So we realized, why don't we then offer lessons that allow for these poets to package themselves in such a way that they can be commercially viable? That's really, again, the objective of this Saturday's event.
What do you believe is the biggest challenge, Franklin, facing Namibian poets today? And how can platforms such as this masterclass help overcome that?
I think one of the biggest challenges is that we don't actually have actual work. There's not a lot of Namibian anthologies going around. There's a few anthologies. I know, like people like Molopong have got anthologies. And it's not so much that it's difficult to create an anthology, but it's because we don't have industry collaborations or partnerships, right? So because a poet needs three things. A poet needs a publisher to jump on board. A poet needs an editor. And then, of course, a poet would, at the same time as well, need a marketer. Now, because what I've realized in the local terrain is that the one creative has to be all those things. Now, you can't be a jack of all trades and create great art. You would need people to collaborate effectively. And so one of the main reasons why there are challenges is because we don't actually have an avenue where we can partner and create an actual work, as opposed to just social media videos. And although those are good, they don't meet the standard for disseminating it as literature. So the biggest challenge is that there's no collaboration, and rightfully so, also because industries need to make money, and creatives aren't necessarily the best business-minded people either. So I think that ideally is the issue of resource.
Franklin, if attendees leave this masterclass with only one takeaway from you, what do you hope that will be?
The biggest the biggest objective, the biggest vision has always been to see the Namibian story archived in a local language. I would like the greatest outcome of this story should be that it's okay to be inspired by other creatives, but it's much more powerful to be inspired by yourself. I would like to see these stories interwoven in Namibian cultures, in Namibian languages, in Namibian folklore, because we seem to adopt a lot of foreign influence, which is not wrong, but I think it becomes a problem when that foreign influence then sort of succumbs us to trying to speak like them, to try and have perspectives like them. But ideally what we want is to have an actual rich Namibian outcome from this workshop. Because what we've seen is we've got great storytellers that might not necessarily be literate. Then we've got those that are beautiful with oral. They remember stories orally. We've got people that don't have the acumen for the English language per se, but they are very good in their local languages. We want to encourage those stories to be done in their local languages, ideally.
Just finally, Franklin, give us all the logistical details. And is there still space to sign up for the masterclass?
All right, so the masterclass is happening at the Goethe Center, and the Goethe Center has been amazing in that they have always collaborated in uplifting Namibian and local art in a sense, and that's happening on the 7th of June. So it's between 9 in the morning and 1600 hours, because it's more than just a teaching issue, because we want to be able to have an organic dialogue with people that are keen, people that are interested, and so we are not excluding anybody. You can be 9,000 years old, you can be 2 weeks old. It doesn't really matter. And so on Saturday, the 7th of June, between 9 in the morning to 1600 hours, Goethe Institute is just right across Zoo Park. You wouldn't be able to miss it. It's the building with the green stuff next to it, literally across the Christopher Kirker Church.
Well, Franklin, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we wish you all the best with the masterclass.
Thank you so much, Nina.
That was local poet Franklin speaking, talking to us about the masterclass that he'll be hosting coming up this weekend, the Interactive Poetry Masterclass. If you'd like more information on how you can be a part of it, you can go onto his social media and get all the details, or into the Goethe Institute Namibia's social media pages, and the details will be there as well. But moving swiftly along, still on the entertainment side, South Africa's amapiano music and dance are gaining global popularity through social media. Johannesburg studios now attract dancers from across Africa eager to master the viral moves. According to Spotify, amapiano tracks featured in over 855 million streams last year alone.